Hello everyone, today we are breaking down Season 3, Episode 2, Sick as Your Secrets of Monster, the Ed Gein Story. But before that, remember to like the video, helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada, let's get to it. The first thing we see is Ed driving a tractor through a field, but then we see prisoners running by him. As I said in the last video, Ed has schizophrenia, which leads to hallucinations, which is what this is. He sees Jewish prisoners from concentration camps. Ed is basically obsessed with these comic books about the Bitch of Buchenwald. She's also known as Ilsa. She was very cruel and sadistic to the Jewish people. Ed was inspired by what he saw in the comic books and did similar things to his victims and the people he dug up. Mainly what Ilsa did was she liked skins, and she would skin prisoners and make lampshades and other household items from them. Ed would do similar things from his victims. Now he is having a hallucination of prisoners trying to get him because he thinks they know that he is following in the footsteps of Ilsa. We hear his mother's voice. She tells him to basically settle down, it's all in his head. He does, and it is. Funny enough, she is also in his head since she is dead. We are now in 1959 with Alfred Hitchcock and Robert Bloch. Robert wrote the book Psycho, which Alfred made a movie on. Psycho and the character of Norman Bates was inspired by Ed Gein. Norman famously dressing up like his mother and having mommy issues. The two are discussing making the movie and are talking about Ed Gein and how he came to be. I really don't like these scenes. Like, they want to show how Ed Gein is the inspiration for many famous horror characters, but it kind of takes you out of the story. And the two suggest in this scene that if Ed never saw the photos of the concentration camps, that he may never have killed or have done any of the things he did, which is simply untrue. He had a terrible childhood and was very dependent on his mother. Her death is really the moment for him when things went off the deep end. You could say maybe he wouldn't have made things from skins, but I think he still would have done some violent things because his mother's voice is still in his head, photos or not. In the next scene, we see Ed sit down for some pork and beans, and he uses his special bowl. The bowl is made from a human skull. Ed has a hallucination of his mother, Augusta, and the two talk. She tells Ed that he is a mess, and Ed agrees, and says that is why he needs a woman. Augusta does not like hearing this at all. Augusta always said women are sinners, and she always told Ed never to get involved with one. This is another thing that just does not make a whole lot of sense. Ed always listened to his mother. Like, he wouldn't say something like this. It is half the reason he got mad at his brother Henry last episode and killed him. Because Henry wasn't listening to their mother and he was talking crap about her. And now Ed is kind of doing the same thing? It just doesn't make sense. I'll shut up about my complaints, that'll be for another video. Ed is talking about Adeline, of course. He's rather sweet on her. As I said in the last episode, all of the Adeline stuff is basically made up for the show. None of it happened in real life. Ed heads into town where he has a date with Adeline. The two are skating. The two talk. Adeline talks about leaving Wisconsin, that she feels trapped there. Ed hasn't really thought about leaving. I don't think he wants to either. He would be leaving his mother, and we wouldn't want that. Adeline tells Ed what her dream job would be, which is to be a crime scene photographer, which would explain why she has such a fascination with the pictures from the concentration camps. Ed tells her about his own projects he's been working on, how he was inspired by Ilsa and made a bowl from a skull. Adeline thinks he is joking and laughs it off. Ed invites her over to his house to show it. She agrees, thinking it would be a more intimate time. They get to his house. It is very dark because he doesn't have electricity. It is very creepy and she gets a little nervous. She notices that it's quite the mess. A bunch of garbage laying around. She starts cleaning up a little bit. Ed smiles watching this, thinking maybe she could be the woman for him. He then asks her to go steady. She says, okay, to it. Ed is delighted. He wants to introduce her to his mother, who is upstairs in her room. We know that his mother is a corpse, so it should be quite the interesting meeting. The two go upstairs to say hello, but before they get up there, we see that Ed has made a chair from human skin. This is something he actually did, which is quite disturbing. They go to her room and say hello. Augusta is sitting in her chair not saying a word. Adeline gets a little closer and says hello again, but still no answer. Adeline can sense something is off and she leaves. She doesn't see that Augusta is just a corpse. Ed starts yelling and screaming at his mother for being so rude to Adeline. Adeline hears this and smiles a bit. She likes the fact that Ed is standing up for her. One little thing here though, the fact that Adeline thinks Augusta is still alive makes little to no sense. The population of Plainfield at this time was 680 people. As someone who is from a small town, everyone knows everything. Ed wouldn't have been able to keep that Augusta was dead under wraps. It just doesn't make sense. In reality, everyone knew she was dead, but for some reason they changed it for the TV show, which I guess is whatever. Ed is so mad at his mother he decides to go out and have a drink. His mother is not happy about this at all. Ed enters a bar and meets Mary. She is the barkeep. The two talk and we get a little backstory on Mary and how she was kind of into some bad things in Chicago. She says she could get a gal for Ed, so a lady of the night. Ed starts comparing her to his mother and how similar they are, body-wise. She does not appreciate that. Things get a little heated and Ed heads for the bathroom. Ed exits and he has another hallucination, being at a party with a bunch of German soldiers. He goes up to Mary and apologizes for what he said. He says that she and his mother are nothing alike, that his mother is a saint and Mary is a Jezebel. Ed picks up his gun and shoots her. So Ed is kind of following his mother's words, that Mary is a baddish person, a sinner, and she deserved to die for that reason. This is pretty accurate, but the show does make it seem more spontaneous than actually what happened. Ed was visiting the bar for like 2 weeks straight, so some people think it was kind of premeditated, like this was always going to be the plan. Ed grabs her body and throws it into his truck. We see that Ed has returned home and is holding a bra up to himself. The bra may look familiar to some, he stole it from Adeline. We already know Ed is a cross-dresser and gets some kind of sexual thrill from this. This kind of comes from his mother and how he was raised. His mother always wanted a daughter, and when Ed came out, she vowed he would not be like Henry. So she kind of raised him like a girl, which explains why he tries to act like one, because he wants to live up to his mother's expectations. We go back to the movie time with Hitchcock and we meet the actor who's going to be playing Norman Bates, Anthony Perkins. They are on the set and Anthony has a hallucination himself and sees Ed Gein constructing a chair from human skin. Anthony says you can't make something like this. You can't make people look at this. It isn't right. Ed Gein replies, "You are the one that can't look away." This is kind of a comment on us as the viewer. People will sit here and say this and the other seasons of Monster are in poor taste. Real people died, and to make money off of it is kind of messed up, which is kind of true. But yet we still watch it. So what does that say about us? I think at the end of the day, we all have a bit of a morbid fascination with serial killers, and I think it's mainly due to a lack of understanding of them. We don't get it, and we want to understand the whys. The cops are investigating Mary's disappearance. They're questioning a man, and he believes he saw Ed Gein's truck there last night, so they may have a lead. We then have a whole scene of Ed and Adeline reenacting the famous scene from Psycho, and then it cuts to a movie theater. We see the audience terrified at what they see. And that is the end of the episode. What did you think of it? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you want more monster content, please subscribe and like the video. Check out the Twitter link in the description below. And as always, have an awesome day.